So, Cody, tell me about the people, the places that shaped the Cody that we see today. Like, get me inside of that a little bit.
Oh, wow. Okay, so for my background story, I was born in Los Angeles. I moved to North Carolina with my mom and our dogs and our cats, and we drove across the country at the age of 8. I grew up in North Carolina from age 8 to 22, and I moved to New York right after college in the height of the recession, like right after the recession. And so I've been in New York for 15 years now, which I'm a full New Yorker, own property here, and will always have a foot in the door, a foot here, you know? I think those are the places that very much made me the person I am. I think being from Los Angeles, it made me it kind of amplified my outgoingness, my love for being on like the center of attention since a little kid. I think in North Carolina, I have like this. I'll never go back. No shade to North Carolina. I'll just never go back. But I'm so grateful that I grew up there because I think it allowed me and my mom to have a slower time together in my young age, and I think took a lot of the pressures of a bigger city, and probably, I don't know if this is true, maybe kept me out of trouble. I wasn't like a troubled kid, or like I was always good. I'm just saying, like, maybe living in Los Angeles, I would have been influenced or exposed to different things that would have led me down a different path. So I'm grateful that North Carolina was there for me. On the flip side of that, North Carolina is really conservative and judgmental and religious, and the whole gay thing you don't always feel necessarily comfortable living in your own skin because you grow up with all these like microaggressions of people saying bad things about gay people. So it was a little bit challenging, but I finally came out in college and was able to live my truth. And New York, I'm the most grateful for because this is a hard city. It pushes you. It motivates you. It really has given me this incredible chosen family. It has given me incredible experience as a background dancer and led me on the path to my higher purpose of being at Peloton, helping people find their best selves, helping people laugh at themselves. And I've been really grateful for that.
Mm-hmm. And I think what's remarkable about what you just unpacked is you had some tough situations relative to your childhood with, you talk about this openly, that your mom was an addict and that you were raised,
Uh-huh.
as you said, by a single parent. Your dad died of
Mm-hmm.
addiction, but yet you have risen above that and forgiven in so many ways your mom, and are who you are today, inspiring and making such a big impact on the world and so many people. How have you been able to park that? How has that period where I read, right, you were with your mom once, in a time when you were in the car and she rolled down the window, and you later realized, wow, that was a deal of
Yep.
a drug
A
deal.
drug dealer.
How has that shaped Cody?
I mean, it shaped me in a lot of different ways. I think all of us, no matter how good and great our parents are, we are going to be handed trauma from our upbringing. And unfortunately, that trauma and those things are not our fault, but they are our responsibility that we have to work through so that we're not then placing that trauma on our friends, our partner, and the possible kids that we have in life. And that just means doing a lot of inner work. That means going to therapy. It means building an awareness of what your triggers are, what your needs are, what has messed you up, and working through that. Which I'm still doing. I'm in therapy multiple times a month, and honestly, I've been kind of dabbling into IFS therapy, which is internal family systems therapy, which is all very new to me, but it's kind of accepting all of these parts of yourself that sometimes show up in ways that part is trying to protect you, but it's also a survival technique that you continue to use that doesn't serve you anymore. And so that's something that I'm trying to work through as well. And like, I think we have this idea that once we do the work, everything's going to be perfect and we're going to be fixed. And it's just a lifelong journey of knowing yourself and being better and evolving. And that's been really, really, really good for me. And then, I had a lot of resentment towards my mom, which I think was subconscious. I didn't know that was happening until I did therapy and dove into it. And I had to acknowledge that resentment, and I had to accept that my mom, regardless of her faults, was doing the best that she could, that I was able to be born, survive, thrive because she did the best that she could to take care of me and provide for me. That was hard to accept. And then I had to accept that unfortunately or fortunately in this relationship, I am the caregiver. I'm going to be the one to have to take care of her. She doesn't have that capability. And I would rather do that and enjoy the time that we have together than hold the resentment, try to hold her accountable for all this, and not be able to savor the time that we have left together, which, like I said before we went live, you never know how long that's going to be.
If you had to sort of articulate how if somebody out there is listening and going, man, like I have people in my life I need to forgive, what advice do you give people as they work through that? Because I admire that so much, and I love that, because I agree with you. I have been blessed, amazing parents, and relationships are so special in all of our lives. And being able to forgive and then connect and pour into one another on this time on earth that we have, whether it's a mom or, is such an important thing. So what do you tell people that are like, man, I wish I could do what Cody did with that forgiveness
Well, you got to be patient with yourself, and you have to take it one step at a time. Sometimes the things that people have done to you are still really crunchy inside you, and you've got to work through that first. And sometimes I think about the energy or forgiveness or compassion or kindness that we give to others is a self-practice of giving it to ourself. I think that it is so much easier to forgive another person, to give love, to give compassion to somebody else than it is to ourself. There's a blockage, and maybe that's just me, but it does feel harder to give it to myself. And when you give it to someone, and especially forgiveness, it teaches you that you can forgive yourself for your mistakes, for your shortcomings, because we're all imperfect. We all mess up. We all do stupid shit. And that is, I think, the biggest motivator, is that it is going to be a practice of self-love when you forgive and let go of bullshit and drama, and then you open yourself up to these incredibly emotionally connected, thriving relationships.
You moved to New York with $1,600 in your pocket. Where did that courage come from? Where did that confidence come from, Cody? Because I think there's so many people in life, right? Yeah, that have these dreams and hopes, but then they just, for whatever reason, they stay stuck and don't go for it. How did you do that?
I mean, I will say it is a lot easier to take risk when you are younger. And I think the older you get, the more comfortable you get in certain spaces or jobs or relationships. It does take more and more courage and more self-awareness to get out of those bad situations or situations that you don't want to be in anymore. I feel like I'm shitting on North Carolina today. I just knew I wasn't meant North Carolina. I knew that I was meant for more than Greensboro. I knew that I wanted to achieve things that were great. And one of those first things was I wanted to be like a professional dancer. And I knew that I could only do that in New York or LA. And I had fallen in love with New York this summer in between my freshman year of college and the senior year of high school, and had been going there every summer that I was in college, including an internship at Broadway Dance Center. So I had enough time to do some like reconnaissance work, knew what it was going to feel like to live there. And that inspired me. Like every time I went there, I just fell in love with it more and more. And once I was done and got my degree, I was just like, I got to go. And, New York, America, we're really fortunate to live in these places. There's opportunity everywhere. Like there's just opportunity everywhere, and you can become whoever and whatever you want to be. Like that is sometimes the most patriotic thing about me. Like I love the American dream. I think it's within reach of everyone. I'm not running for Senate yet, don't worry, but maybe this isn't my stump speech. No, I love that aspect of it. And I think New York personifies that as well. There's opportunity everywhere. There's connections everywhere. You just have to go out there and do it. And I think a little bit of fear is good because it's like telling you you're going you're going in the right direction. And like the change, the person you want to be is not going to come without friction. It's not going to come without fear. You can live in two places at once. You can live in duality. You can be scared and you can see all of the reasons it's not going to work out, but you can also be excited and motivated and let that push you through to what you want.
I always think there's like, I call it, we have an inner critic and we have to flip that into an inner coach, right? That inner critic into an inner coach to take us where we want to go. I moved to Atlanta with $2,000, Cody. So I was $400 on you. Same kind of deal, right? And Atlanta's a little more forgiving, by the way, than New York.
Is a little bit cheaper, and I'm not trying to, jab you, but I'm gonna also say it probably was at a different time. So inflation was a little bit lower,
Yes. We've got theater, we've got dance, we've got Peloton. How did these things converge? And I guess probably the better question is, what's the common thread, Cody, between these things that have come together to put you where you are?
That is a great question. Well, let me first say that life's path is not linear, and the phrase is "you make plans, God laughs," and this is very true. I moved to New York to be a dancer. I got to do some amazing things as a dancer. Dance for Nicki Minaj, Katy Perry, Victoria's Secret fashion show, Saturday Night Live. Amazing things. But I got to a point where I was like, hey, I'm tired of moving furniture. I'm tired of not making money. I'm tired of being broke. I'm tired of seeing my friends go on vacation, and I'm here sitting in a cold-ass New York. I wanted more for myself. And I said, okay, I'm going to start getting out of that, put it out to the universe, like, hey girl, I'm ready for something else. And like within 6 months, I got a job at a club that connected me with Peloton, and then I started working at Peloton, and now it's been 10 years, which is insane and so life-changing, and it has allowed me to find purpose, which is incredible. Then, I've been on Dancing with the Stars. I've wrote a New York Times bestselling book. I've started my own podcast, Tactful Pettiness. I really think the through line here is two things. Authenticity, and I know that's a buzzy word, and sometimes that's just like people roll their eyes at it, but I think it does take a lot of courage to know who you are, develop a relationship with yourself, and outwardly exemplify that in everything that you do, to take the masks off that we wear, take the masks off that we're trying to impress our colleagues, our potential partners, our friends. Like, take it off, be who you are, and I think that everything that is meant for you will gravitate towards you. And I truly believe that has happened in my career and in my time. And it's hard to trust that. And I know I sound like a crystal lady with wind chimes, but it is really something I truly believe in. And I think the other through line to all those things is that whatever you're doing now, I think you need to trust that you're going to develop enough skills that when the next opportunity is within striking distance, you can leap to the next thing and trust that what you've learned from that previous experience is going to help you thrive in the next opportunity, while also knowing that you're not going to have the ins and outs of a new opportunity figured out 100%, but you're going to figure it the fuck out.
And you know what I mean, at some level, don't you think early in our lives it's good to say yes, 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 and put
Yeah.
ourselves in these moments where we learn, and to your point, I mean, we can have all these experiences that then converge and often come together in a way that, yes, God laughs and is scripting
Hmm.
this for our lives.
Hmm.
Cody, what is, you referenced your why, your purpose, knowing yourself. You've done a lot of work to get to that point clearly, and you own it and you
Hmm.
love it. How has that evolved over the years?
I think in my early years as probably a dancer, I don't think there was a why and a purpose. I think the why was validation from others to make me feel like I was good enough.
Mm,
And that is no way to live.
yeah,
and I
yeah.
and I still am battling that monster, in different aspects of my life.
What do you mean?
Oh, I mean, like I think we all have doubts in ourselves. I think we have, you know, we don't see our value all the time, and that is okay. But I think you have to create habits that move you in the different direction and do a little bit of inner work and love yourself enough to be
Hmm.
like, hey, I am worthy, I am good, I am great, and I am
Hmm.
deserve love and success. Those are the things
Hmm.
that pop
Hmm.
up. It's like those inner saboteurs, no matter how healed they are, sometimes they pop up. You just have to recognize that they're just thoughts, or they're just parts of you that need to be heard for a little bit.
Hmm.
Sorry, I got Peloton just really helped me find my why, because I think I went into the fitness space trying to replicate other instructors. I tried to tap into kind of like that toxic positivity, and it just wasn't working, and it wasn't resonating. And once I discovered my authenticity and that had value, I started to implement that into my content, and people really connected to that.
Hmm.
And I think ultimately, working in the fitness space, that's a scary place. People are intimidated. They don't know what they're going to do. They're constantly comparing themselves to this person, that person. And I just wanted to be silly and stupid and fun and not take it so seriously, so that people would feel welcome in the fitness space. And I think that has evolved into showing up so authentically that people are also inspired to be the most authentic, best version of themselves. And that really is important for me within like the LGBTQ space. I know what it's like to grow up as a queer kid who doesn't know what to do, or what to do about their
Hmm.
feelings. And I feel like there's a lot of hate going towards the community right now in the political climate that we're in. And I just like to be this little Trojan horse in people's homes, that people get on this bike, they love my classes, they fall in love with the content, with me, what I have to offer, and hopefully that changes their mindset on the community, on queer people. And I think I'm starting to implement that in my TikTok content, in my
Hmm.
podcast, just like showing up, being vulnerable. Like, you see me and you're like, okay, he's got money, he's got success, he's got notoriety, but at the end of the day, like, I'm still a fucked up
Hmm.
little mess just like you, and I'm figuring it out, and
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
like brave enough to admit that, and I hope that it
Hmm.
makes people feel more comfortable and willing to know that you don't have to be perfect, you can be a mess and still be
Hmm.
worthy.
That's so good. That is so good. And to hear it from you, who the
Hmm.
world goes, dude, you got it going on, man. You make a bunch of money, right? Like you're famous, you're all these things, and to hear it from you is so neutralizing, I think, for people. And you know that platform is there, and you're serving people with it,
Hmm.
man. That's unbelievable. Tell me this, as a Peloton instructor, right? So for me as an agent for
Hmm.
so long, right? The amount of demands that you have coming at you at this point in your career, and when you jumping on the bike and being this guy that people literally, if they want to turn their day around, they go ride a Cody ride.
Yeah.
as an instructor, you got to show up, man, physically,
Yeah.
mentally, emotionally,
Yeah.
relationally. You don't just ride, man. You're flowing content that's making people better,
Yep.
even on what I am sure are bad days. And I watched a lot of athletes have to compartmentalize to lock in and to perform and to execute and do their job at some level. What's been your approach to being able to show up in a way that serves your community while you're struggling with certain things?
That's a great question. And there's so many ways to approach this. I think first and foremost, not every day is going to be, not every day and not everything that represents your performance is going to be 5 out of 5 stars. It's not, it's just not.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's good to accept that we can't operate at the top level constantly. You want that to be your majority, but you got to give yourself a little bit of grace to have those 1-star days. And on those 1-star days, just do what you can, the best that you can, and know that it's not going to represent the entire picture, but just do the best that you can. There's days I've been going through a breakup, lost one of my best friends to addiction, down and out about myself just internally, low energy, sick, whatever it is. Just like show up, do the best that you can that day, and keep it pumping. And tomorrow will be a better day. Tomorrow will be 10% better. Might be a 2-star day, and that's great. On those days that you're feeling like your best, sit in that, give it your best, be your best, thrive, so that people know that that is possible, and that's what you're known for. And what I love about my job is most of the days, even when I'm at not feeling great, there's something about getting on that bike and being on that stage and knowing that there's people showing up and depending on you that actually motivates me, that inspires me, that is like, you know what, I'm good. And honestly, I'm also fortunate that on those bad days, I can kind of verbalize what I'm going through, and it almost feels like therapy. Like I'm trying to tell you to be motivated, or to be the best version of yourself, or to tackle uncomfortable feelings, and it's okay to feel sad and it's okay to feel angry. I'm sometimes like telling myself that, and in itself is like therapeutic,
Sure, sure. Who inspires you?
Oh, I mean, I always come to this. I do come to this, the celebrity of RuPaul. I think RuPaul is an incredible human being. I think that they are grounded in heart and humor and a lot of determination. Someone who's taken a queer art form, something that belongs in bars and clubs, and has turned it into this incredible multi-platform, multi-million-dollar empire for himself, but also has given this opportunity to so many other artists and drag queens and people in his orbit. And I think that's really beautiful. I also think that RuPaul is really focused on healing and kindness and compassion and bringing out the best version of people within his orbit, even when it means a little bit of tough love and hard conversations and hard truths. And so that, I think, Ru really, really inspires me. And I think on a personal level, I'm just really inspired by the people in my life, my chosen family, my friends, who constantly just show up for me, and I am trying to allow them to show up for me more and more. I feel like I'm always trying to be in control, or to be the one who takes care of people. And right now I'm allowing my friends to be there for me and take care of me and show me kindness and show me compassion without feeling like I have to in that moment pay it back or it's an obligation. Letting that go and just letting people be there for me. I think that has really inspired me as well.
That's fantastic. And it's hard. And I think it's neat that you're sharing that, because I think we all need people in our lives who don't have an agenda with us whatsoever, particularly somebody at your point in life, right? Where you need people around you that need nothing but to help you feel love and be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
Not because they need anything at all, but because they love you. And
Yes.
that's huge. What advice do you have, Cody, for people who are struggling to prioritize their health in a way
Oh.
that's consistent? I mean, to me, health is, man, it's so important, and obviously,
So important.
you live it. But what advice do you have for people that are struggling to make it a priority? Because Cody, the one thing that makes me a little crazy is people often will say, I just don't have time. Like, if I had more time, I'd work out. If I had more time, I'd sleep. If I had more time, but the data
That's
shows if
such
you had more time, you'd do
bullshit,
what
though.
you
That's
do
such
now.
bullshit.
Exactly.
How much time does somebody waste scrolling on TikTok? How much time does someone waste watching TV? How much time do we waste doing just bullshit? So like, let's get that out of there. And that's a little bit of tough love. Listen, your health should be a priority. When you prioritize sleep, movement, nourishing your body, loving relationships around you and your mental health, your life is going to change. It's slow, it's gradual. You're not going to feel this incredible high every time that you go through these processes, but it is going to benefit you. I think it's anything that has to do with personal growth and development is going to feel like a mountain. It is going to look like it is impossible to achieve. And that is, in a way, your ego keeping you away from that, because it's your inner self is going to find an excuse all the time to try and protect you from feeling uncomfortable, from feeling scared, all these sort of things.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Just start small, babe. Can you find 10 minutes? Can you find 20 minutes to move your body? Can you find a movement modality or something that's going to be fun instead of trying to make it a task? Do you like dancing? Do you like rollerblading? Do you like walking? Like, do that. And I think the same applies with, nutrition. You don't need to start this crazy ass diet tomorrow where everything's going to be restricted. Can you find one meal this day to focus on it being, protein focused, good carbohydrates, all these sort of things. Just start small and see how that impacts you, and hopefully that inspires you to continue putting little changes into your life. You got to start small, because if you try to do all too much at once, it's not going to stick. You're going to get overwhelmed.
Yeah. 100%. And I think if you set small goals, right, Cody, and then you have success, right? Every time I go to the bathroom, I'm going to do 5 push-ups, and you do it instead of saying I'm doing 50.
Exactly.
And that's a lot, right? I mean, at least for me. Cody, you probably could do
It's
it
a
with
lot.
one hand.
50's a lot. I could do it, but it's going to be a lot.
Yeah, that's right. So I want to talk about discomfort. I mean, you auditioned to be a Peloton instructor, and you had never taught a fitness class in your life. And you went on Dancing with the Stars, right? So what can people learn from you relative to starting right now to get and step into discomfort? Because I would argue, and I mean, look, had you not stepped into that discomfort of a lot of these things in your life, you wouldn't be where you are. So what advice do you have to get comfortable at some level? Maybe Cody's saying being uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, I think it comes back to small doses and putting yourself in those situations. You have to trust that you have everything that you need. You have to trust yourself, that you're strong, that you're capable, that you're resilient, that you're powerful. And that is hard to do, I know. But you got to trust, you got to look at the history. You've gotten through trials and tribulations. You've got through schooling. You've got through work that's hard. You've gotten through hard conversations with loved ones. And all of those things can be uncomfortable at times. So you have to trust your ability to sit through that. And I would suggest putting yourself in those uncomfortable situations at small dosages and, giving yourself the ability to retreat or retract, but you need to try. And I think the biggest thing for me within this is meditation. I think it's so hard to sit with your own fucking mind, your own mind that is thinking constantly, that is catastrophizing everything, that is thinking of the worst case scenario, which is doubting you, which is it's all up here. And if you can sit and breathe and let these thoughts just be for 5 minutes a day and feel uncomfortable just in that, it is a practice of discomfort moving into other things. And I also think that fitness and moving your body is also a great practice. You're sweaty, things burn, it's uncomfortable, you're doubting yourself. But that is a daily practice of like, wait. I can be uncomfortable. I can change, and I can show up, and I can be a better version of myself. And so when it comes to more of that, like, hard conversations or work or stuff, like, that's what's going to make you stronger. That's what's going to make you more resilient.
Mm-hmm. What role does purpose play in resiliency in your mind?
Wow, that's a good question.
We're keeping it real, buddy. We're keeping it real.
I know, I love that. We're going deep.
Boo.
I think it's important to. I don't know if you're gonna. I think people are like, "What is my purpose?" Like, you have to discover it a little bit, and it might change as you go through your life. But I think having that motivation of why keeps you really rooted. Like, it keeps you really grounded, so that, like, if you know that you're met in this life to, bring joy out of people, to mirror kindness and compassion and self-love so that other people can feel that too, it's easy to sit in the discomfort or the storms that life throws at you, that that is the buildup of the resiliency, because you know who you are and you know what you want, and there's no stopping you from achieving that. There might be setbacks. It might not be on the timeline you want. It might not look exactly how you wanted to, but you are always going to pivot. You're going to find a way around it. Actually, you're not going to find a way around it. You're going to find a way through it. You're always going to find a way through it. And do not try to find a way around it, because it will come bite you in the ass later. Go through it. Go through it.
What is your approach to managing your energy, right? Like we live in a world that is operated against time and clocks and schedules, but I believe high performers fundamentally operate differently, in the sense that they are focused on the things that give them energy, drain their energy, and ensuring that they have the energy for the things that really matter most and the people that matter most. How do you do it? Because you've got a lot of demand. And so clearly you've learned how to, obviously, manage your energy remarkably well in service of showing up with the kind of energy that you give to so many people.
Yes and no. I think on the outside it shows that, but I think in the inside it's kind of been somewhat of a struggle. I was really fortunate for the past 4 or 5 years, knowing that, like, this is my jackpot. This might be my 15 minutes of fame. I got to cash in on everything that I can right now, because I don't know where the fuck it's going. And so that was a motivator for me, achieving what I wanted to achieve and constantly being re-inspired and validated in those spaces. So it kept me going. But I will say this, now that I've landed out of that chaos, and yes, things are busier, that is not sustainable. It wasn't bringing out my best self. I wasn't completely mentally happy. I don't want to say sane, happy. And so now I'm really trying to lean into this idea of seasonality and taking a big picture look at my year, month, year, quarter, month, week. What are these like? What is the big picture here? And when we kind of like bird's eye view come out and you know what your year is going to be like, then you can say to yourself, all right, these are the seasons that I'm going to be really locked in. These are the seasons that I'm going to take out the distractions. I'm going to not go on vacation. I'm going to be home. I'm going to wake up at a good time and I'm going to get all the shit done. But on the flip side of that, you also have to have seasonalities of fun, rest, play. Like all of this has to be in your big picture, because if you're not putting time in the calendar of your year, your month, your week to not experience those things, you are going to get so burnt out. You are going to get so fed up of life that, and this is kind of what I've come out of it the past few years, is a numbness that, yes, I'm achieving things, but I can't even feel the joy of that success because I'm so moved on. When the thing is happening, I'm thinking about what's happening next and what's happening next. And that is no way to live. That is no way to savor life. So I truly believe in the seasonality of life and allowing yourself to know when you're going to be giving it your all, but also knowing when you are going to retreat, rest, have fun. And I think you have to implement that into your calendar and your like on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, on an annual basis, and those kind of like retreats or time for yourself just get bigger.
Yeah. Well, and Cody, right here, I've got the energy clock. I wrote that book a couple of years ago. I got to send you one because one of the things
Please do.
I think I would love to. I mean, one of the things I think we have to do is say what gives us energy, what drains us, what are the neutrals,
Yeah.
and then how can we insert those in our schedule intentionally? To your point, how do you go out 30 days, a year, and insert those? Because there will be seasons where I think if we are going to wholeheartedly pursue anything in our lives, we are going to be out of balance. To me, it's not about balance; it's about alignment. And
Yeah,
giving our energy to
there's never balance. I don't ever think there's like true
totally
balance because it's so
right,
fleeting. It's so fleeting.
right.
For me, I really do think that like the things that energize me are my friends, the connection to the people around me. They really make me feel great. And I also think that connection to myself is really important right now. I will just lay in bed for 20 minutes and let my mind think, and I will allow it to just tell me what it's feeling and thinking that day without judgment, without trying to control it, and just getting curious. And that curiosity has really brought up a lot recently, and I'm just incredibly proud of my own personal growth in the past few months, which has been hard to feel. I've been doing a lot of crying recently, which is okay. Like, I think it's really great to feel your emotions and not suppress them, because the more you suppress them, the more they're going to build up. And I just truly believe in that. So giving yourself time to connect is really important, and I think to myself and to the people that I love. And I hope that anybody listening to this is prioritizing their family, their friends, themselves, because that is what energizes me.
How do you? I mean, you're moving quick, right? You live in New York. You have a busy life, right? I mean,
Yeah.
for me personally, Cody, like laying down on a couch for 20 minutes and staring at the ceiling is like, that would be hard for me to do.
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh yeah.
torturous. How did you force yourself to do that initially? Do you enjoy that when you do it? Is it the result of what comes up when you do it that makes you keep doing it?
Like, I completely resonate. I think a lot of the discomfort when you stop is a lot of fear. You're afraid that the momentum's going to stop. You're afraid the success is going to keep coming in. You're going to mess something up. And you got to just come back to that trust of yourself that you have everything you need. And I think taking that 20 minutes to feel uncomfortable will, and if you do that enough times, it will start to feel more of a treat and more of a connection to self. And it just comes back to that discomfort. You got to sit in that 20 minutes, set the calendar, put it in your calendar for your day or 3 times a week and be like, all right, 20 minutes. I'm turning off my phone. I'm turning off music. I'm just going to sit here with my own crazy self and see what comes up. It's going to be uncomfortable for a while, but the more that you sit in this comfort, it becomes easier and easier. And the things that need to rise to the top will rise to the top, and you'll get curious about, and you'll explore those more and more.
Do you feel like that is the one thing that has really been profound relative to you getting comfortable in your own skin, you sitting inside of yourself? I know you talked about therapy. What is because to me that unlocks all kinds of things: confidence, fearlessness, courage, resilience. When you can really be and live and embrace yourself in your own skin. That's taken a lot of work, but if you're going to tell somebody, what would you tell them to do?
Well, I would just say, don't be afraid of the parts of yourself that you are ashamed of, or be afraid of the parts that you think are unlovable. The goal there is to see every aspect of yourself and love it and accept it and nourish it, despite it being uncomfortable, shameful. If it feels icky, get curious about that, love that part of you, and that will build the confidence, because then that quote unquote bad part of you won't have as much power when you go out in the world and make uncomfortable decisions. You won't be doubting yourself. You're like, yeah, I know that I'm a mess. I love that part of me. And no one is going to take away my power or take away my confidence, because I already know that I'm a mess. You can't tell me that,
Yeah, totally. Hey, Cody, listen, we could do this forever, man. And I want to hit you with some rapid fire. But as you know, from the beginning of our time together, Anne on my team is a rock. She's been beside me forever. And
7 years.
She's 7 years. She's a Peloton Cody Rigsby big time fan. And so Great. Anne is going to kick off our rapid fire. Anne, let's go.
Let's go, Anne, in her beautiful Peloton quarter zip.
Yes. So excited. Okay, rapid fire. Charlie XCX or Sabrina Carpenter?
Oh, Charlie XCX. I am such a little bratty. Yeah, I love Sabrina, but there's something about Charlie that, I saw her I saw both of them in concert, and Charlie was out of this world. The energy, the vibe. Ooh, it's just,
Love it. Okay, I'm a huge fan of your podcast, Tactful Pettiness, so everyone go and listen to it. If Welch's Grape Jelly wanted to sponsor the podcast, what would you say?
I would respectfully decline, or ask them if I could promote the strawberry flavor that I adore and love, but grape jelly is a crime against humanity. It is disgusting. It is not real. It is. It does not belong. It's dark-sided, if you ask me.
Okay, that's how you really feel. Okay, okay. What is your favorite ride at Disney, or which park?
I'm an Epcot girly because I love to get drunk and have all the drinks around the world. No shame there. And I have been blasted a few times at Epcot. And I think my favorite ride, that is a little challenging. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy is really, really fun.
It is fun.
I also like the Ratatouille ride at Epcot because it's fun to be in the little view of the mouse, or the rat. So I like that one too.
Okay, cool. All right, I know you recently went to Japan.
Yes.
What country is next on your list?
Maybe South Korea, Seoul. That I want to go back to Asia and see different parts of it. I've been to Italy before. So I was fortunate to be in 2020. I had, talk about make plans, God laughs. In 2020, I was like, I'm going to go to Tokyo. I'm going to go to South Africa. And I'm going to go to the Italian Dolomites this year. And then I went nowhere. So fortunately, the past year, I've been able to go to South Africa and Japan. So that got checked off. And now I really want to go hiking in the Italian Dolomites. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's something that I've wanted to do for a really long time. And I'm definitely more in my like nature and hiking era right now.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. When is the next XOXO Cody ride dropping on Peloton?
That's a sore subject. No, not a sore subject. It's just, I've been doing that class since 2019. I'm grateful to have done it, and I'm grateful that I was able to launch a book by the same name. I think I got to a point after the last few classes that I felt really tapped out creatively, and so I've just been taking like a break. I'm not saying it's over. I just don't feel inspired right now enough with like the writing and the comedy and the topics. And I just need a break, but I will lovingly come back to it when I'm ready.
Okay, cool. Last question for me. Who makes the best ranch dressing?
Oh, wow. That is a good question. Chili's does have, for a national chain, Chili's has really good ranch. So we're going to give it to there. I wonder if this place in North Carolina is still, it's like if it still exists. Okay.
I think
So there's
he's
also
Googling this right now.
I'm googling it. If you've ever been to Shane's Rib Shack, that is also really good ranch. They have really, really good ranch. And if you're here in New York, Sweet Chick has really good ranch too. But their chicken tenders are a little too breaded, if you know what I mean. Like there's too much breading on it. Also, Dallas Barbecue in New York City has great ranch too.
Wow.
I love ranch.
You love ranch, huh?
Oh,
Clearly.
yeah. It's the white trash in me. I love it.
Well, there we go. Cody, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh, I get asked this question a lot, and it always comes back to my friend Miles Red, who is an interior designer and somewhat of an older gay that I kind of look up to. He just told me, show up and you'll figure out the rest. Like if you're ever nervous to go to a social event, if you're ever nervous to go somewhere, just fight the anxiety and show up. And once you get into that space, I promise you're going to tap into all your goodness and you're going to figure it the fuck out. You always do. You always do.
Oh, it's so good. So what's the most worthwhile investment that you've ever made or maybe that you've made lately that's really changed your life?
Okay. Sorry. Can you repeat that one more time?
We're wrapping. What's the best or most worthwhile piece of advice that you've ever received? Or I'm sorry,
Wait.
Holy smokes, Cody, we'll cut that.
It's okay.
What's one of the most worthwhile investments that you've ever made?
Oh. That's a good one.
Besides your time with us on this podcast.
Of course. I think my biggest investment, I think it's twofold. I think it's in myself and my own personal internal journey. I think therapy and facing yourself can be really scary and has a lot of stigma. When you take that leap of faith and dive deeper into yourself, it just really unlocks your awareness, your trust in yourself, your happiness, your joy, your kindness, your compassion, because you're doing it all to yourself. And I think that makes you show up as a better person. And when you're showing up as a better person, you're more successful, you're more in alignment, you are thriving. So I think that has been my biggest investment.
So who's a game changer? One last question. Who's a game changer who inspires you and why?
Oh, wow. That is also a great question. Game changer that inspires me. I'm going to bring it back to a drag queen. I love Trixie Mattel, also someone who's taken their own brand, their failures on RuPaul's Drag Race, and turned it into a multi-platform, multi-million-dollar empire. And I also think they're really kind and sweet and driven. So I think they inspire me.
I love it. Cody Rigsby, this was super fun, and thank you, Anne Wright, for her debut on Game Changers. You're killing it, sister. Super fun.
Congrats, Anne. Thanks, Molly, for having me, and what a great conversation. Thanks for.
I know it was.
I already
fun,
had therapy today, but I felt like it was therapy times 2.